Right. So, this is a video that no one asked for, and it is mainly about mental health, but for whatever reason, it felt like it needed the cut-rate costume of a writer to blingo to best express itself, so here we are. And the reason it felt like a video worth making is that if smarter, better YouTubers like Millie, the pocket psychologist, are to be believed.
The story that you tell yourself, your brain believes it, so tell it a bloody good one.
And in that knowledge, it is my opinion that the story of your life and mine will contain far more heartache if we treat it like a plotter treats a novel, as opposed to the way a pantser treats a novel. Now, for those of you who clicked on this video because you happen to be a plotter or a pantser, are well aware of what those words mean, and are kinda wondering if I do, this next section might be review. But for the uninitiated, a plotter is a writer who outlines, paces, and generally constructs the bones of the story ahead of time to reduce the odds of missteps and wasted effort when they actually sit down to write the story. These are your outliners, your bullet pointers, and those to whom organization comes naturally. Whereas a pantser... You know what? Quick side tangent. I despise this word. It takes me back to childhood indignities wherein pantsing meant something else. And it really seemed like a bunch of smart, nerdy writer types could have conjured something less awkward and uncomfortable to call themselves. But that's the way the nomenclatures, and no one asked my opinion, so that is the word we are using. Anyway, a pantser in a writing context is someone who likely has fewer details in mind before sitting down to write a story, choosing instead, as the ancients would say, to fly by the seat of their pants, and learn where a character is going, more or less at the same time the character does. And credit where it is due to the plotters. I myself am a pantser who often feels like I cannot logically justify the way I write, because on paper, and with a plotter, it is always on paper, at least in spirit. The writing that results is predictably good for hitting the customary story beats and meeting deadlines. Each story has its beginning, middle, and end accounted for long before the tedium of hashing out the prose. Such a plotter might even know the approximate word count each bullet point on their outline should be, and therefore rarely get bogged down in plot cul-de-sacs that frustrate both the writer and the editor down the road. Plotters also encounter no nasty surprises along the lines of unfillable plot holes or zero-hour character introductions that slow the climax to a crawl. And in short, the residents of the lofty heights in Plotter's Place tended to have a more efficient writing model for building a story from the ground up. Meanwhile, across a class divide, in the less fashionable slums of Panzerville, we only have a couple of things going for us, really. One is potentially expedient start time, because if we don't jump into a manuscript head first, a lot of us would find it way too easy to get bogged down in an outline or backstory under permanent construction, and never truly start a plot. RPG writers. Excuse me. And unlike our more uptight rivals in the ivory towers of Plotter's Place, the Panthers are generally blessed with a far greater capacity for pivoting, should they or their characters spot something unexpected to explore while constructing the story, and take it in a new direction neither could have anticipated before the Panther began to write. Not a virtueless skill, either in storytelling or in life. You with me so far? Awesome. But why, oh why should a plotter care about a far messier writing system that realistically leads a protagonist off course as much as it helps him stay on it? Well, because life is what it is, and often feels too big for my brain, I find myself on self-help YouTube a lot these days. And the current consensus of the psych crowd seems to be that the more we chase control, the less in control we feel, according to smarter, more successful author Mark Manson.
One thing to keep in mind in all this is an idea that comes from Alan Watts that I call the backwards law. And basically the backwards law is that the more you chase a positive experience, that chasing in and of itself is a negative experience. And the more you accept a negative experience, the more that acceptance itself is a positive experience. So you see this show up in all sorts of different areas of life, different ways. You know, the more you try to impress people, the less impressive you're always going to feel. The more beautiful that you want to be, the uglier you will constantly see yourself. The more money you want to make, the more you will feel too poor and inadequate, like you don't have enough stuff. The more you try to be happy all the time, the more easily you'll be upset. Whereas if you just accept that sometimes life is hard and shit goes wrong, the more happy and easygoing you'll become.
And not only do I personally believe that, I think this phenomenon feeds into the self-destructive tendencies of our compulsive narrator brains in a nasty, insidious way. Granted, a lot of that plot-oriented thinking is not something we would have chosen for ourselves, so much as it got foisted on us at assorted ages. Like, might anyone be watching this from a generation who wasn't scared to death that an authority figure across a desk would ruin your life if you didn't have a convincing story about where you saw yourself in 5 years? Well, if you didn't, lucky you. Please, oh please, enjoy the good fortune that I could not. And to any poor dears who feel like they have suffered one too many unjustified plot twists to leave anything else to chance, I really, truly get it. Unpleasant life happenings can be prepared for, braced against, or, dare I say, plotted to a point. But if you, like me, find yourself bracing for tragic story beats that might not hit you for another 10 to 30 years, you can easily spend 10 to 30 years on orange alert for no reason other than spiking your cortisol and feeding the anxiety that lied to you when it told you it could keep you safe. If, on the other hand, you structure the happy plot points of your life around a promotion, wedding, or friendship that either became lost to you or never came your way for reasons beyond your control, it is easy to feel cheated, left behind, like life broke its promise to you, or like you broke a promise to yourself.
I failed.
No, you didn't fail. I'm the one who failed. I was the one chosen to stop the nothing.
Not good. Not true either. But making the mistake of thinking it's true is painfully human and an unhealthy recipe for lingering grief, plus the profound self-doubt that puts you in a poor position to pivot.
The nothing will be here any minute. I will just sit here and let it take me away too.
Meanwhile, by way of sharp contrast, the pantser of life. You know, maybe that word is apter than I thought. The pantser of life may never have presumed the various dots on his horizon to be a promotion, a wedding, a burial with honors, or even a good day at work here and there. So when one or more of those things befall him, it is always a nice surprise. And if the opportunity for more of them arises, he may have a far easier time changing directions to follow it than those who dogmatically focused on a pre-plotted course. And yes, all right, the plight of the pantser might not be the most productive in the world, and it is not uniformly beneficial to wander through life with no goal apart from show up and see what happens. But for all its faults, it does leave the pantser with all that lovely room for 3-point turns, which, according to the psych crowd, is just about the nicest thing you can do for your brain and its resilience over time. Do you ever get tired of defending the boundaries of your comfort zone with a whip and a chair? Do you ever stop to wonder these days what all among those boundaries are lies you told yourself?
Fantasia has no boundaries.
My thoughts on this are all a little disorganized, which, is pretty on brand for Team Pantser. But I would like to share these messy thoughts while they are all more or less fresh and chaotic, because when I am in my right mind again, I may go back to worrying about something petty or grudge-related instead of our collective tendency to project 3-act structures onto our daily lives, to superimpose themes and destinies and greater purposes, which is all very nice for the ego when things are going right. But if something goes wrong, even a piddly manageable something, that bright, shiny destiny sword cuts both ways. If we have told ourselves all our achievements are earned, deserved, and rightfully ours, do we also deserve the bad stuff? Did we deserve a genre change right in the middle of what we thought was a romantic comedy or epic fantasy, only to find our story is now a tragic piece of literary fiction in one of many universes where this hero was unjustly slain or wounded? No, of course not. But if I was the one who plotted that course so carefully only to have it go awry for reasons I couldn't control, I'd have a hard time not taking the failure of the mission personally. If, on the other hand, I leaned a little more toward Team Pantser and immediately start heading toward whatever my metaphorical nothing has not destroyed, as opposed to planting my feet on plot points earmarked for destruction, my odds of maybe progressing the story and unlocking an achievement higher than a rockbiter with a death wish could go up by quite a bit. Or maybe not. Again, these are just some goofy opinions that made it easier for me to get out of bed a couple of days in a row. But if your plot twists have lately made you feel like a rockbiter with a death wish is more aspirational than cautionary, Sincerest sympathies. I have been there. And for what it's worth, whether you see the story of your life unfolding from the pristine bluffs of Plotter's Place or the comparatively humble sandbars of Panzerville, I think I can offer you some reasonable assurance of a few things. 1. There are joyful plot points ahead of you, even if the author is unlikely to tell you where. 2. There are also sad plot points ahead of you, but you are up to the challenges. Maybe not today, but trust that future you has got this, and future you will have this. 3. If you have thus far lived in fear of the nastier story beats, it's not too late to choose something else. Anxiety won't keep you safe, but it will keep you from enjoying some of the lovelier chapters of life more fully. And 4. Artex's death was not a punishment, any more than Bastion's ascent was a reward. Although there is something to be said both for being the millionth customer through the door, and for seeing a story through to the end, even when it challenges you. As always, thank you for giving these videos a shot. If you subscribe to this video, I can't think why you would, but that is super kind. I can't promise you'll find anything normal or elsewhere on the channel, but you are both welcome and encouraged to snoop. Until we meet again, take it easy. Loves you. Bye.
It is my scientific speciality.
It's my scientific speciality